Like,
Wow, it's such a good day to be here, and I want to extend a very warm welcome to all of our viewers from all over the world. I trust that everyone has had a wonderful holiday season and that we are all looking forward to the year ahead. Now, one of the really super exciting things that I've done over this pre-holiday up to the holiday season is I actually just recently launched my new book, Beyond Limits, Manifesting and Unleashing Your Dream Career, a career resource planning guide. Now, I believe this is just such a work of art, if I may say so myself. I've had so much fun writing this book, and I have really been motivated by the buzz and the excitement that has been created around the book launch. And I have been privileged to take this book in person. Recently, I went to South Africa and I was also in Zimbabwe, where I was touring recently. And the feedback and the energy related to the book was absolutely amazing. I've seen, I've heard, and I've received quite a few great feedback from people. But because the launch was in Australia, I wanted to make sure that my friends and family and, everyone around the world was also, tapping in and hearing what's going on with this book. And so today, I'm really, really excited to have with me here on My Career, My Calling, one of our readers who has shared some amazing feedback. And I thought it would be great for us to have a chat about the feedback. And, I always make sure that you guys are in the loop of what I'm doing and also getting a chance to listen to some of the great things that are happening. And so, maybe a little bit of drum roll to help me discuss the impact the book is making is a social media influencer, a woman who speaks deep wisdom from the heart, and she brings so much inspiration when she speaks. She's originally from Zimbabwe, currently calls Australia home. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Nunurai Murombedzi to My Career, My Calling. Come on, let me see. I want to see those, welcome emojis in the chat, light up the room, make sure that our guest is feeling really, really, really welcome. All right. So, Nunu, as we affectionately call you, welcome to My
thank
Career,
you.
My
Thank you.
Calling. Wonderful. Now, Nunu, before we jump into the chat, I don't know if you know much about our My Career, My Calling platform, but this platform has quite a deep history, which I won't go into. But what we do on this platform is we provide rich, inspired career and life transformational advice. We break it down into bite-sized pieces, things that just helps everyone get ahead in life and with a special focus on career. So welcome to My Career, My Calling.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Pastor Steph, for inviting me. I feel very welcome today.
Yes. Now, we'd love for our audience to get a sneak peek at who you are. I know I did a quick introduction. I hope you don't mind sharing a little bit about yourself with us.
Sure. My name, as Pastor Steph has said, is Nunurai, but most people just call me Nunu for short. And I just would love to describe myself as a purpose-driven professional who's working in the human services and so making a social impact in that space. So I do work with a lot of people, and my work sits at the intersection of resilient and identity, and then in the also in the progression. Where I'll be working socially with people who are navigating and transitioning from different worldviews to like kind of assimilate into the Australian system and helping them through navigating through all those barriers and all those challenges.
Wow. Your work is so important and I can see some synergies there's a bit of resonance between what you're doing, helping people navigate those transitions. And funnily enough, my career, my calling started about 5 years ago when I was trying to help people navigate the transitions between moving from overseas, working, coming to Australia, and trying to navigate the job market. And we
Yeah.
started off with this little radio program where I was just literally winging it and sharing career advice. And I would just bring in people like yourself, other migrants, mainly from Africa, who were coming into Australia and, you know, helping those new people to understand the job market and so they could thrive. All right. So I'm really pleased to hear about the synergy between, the mission of my career, my calling, and the work that you do. Now, let's dive into the meat of the matter of why we are here today. I wanted
Sure.
to find out when you first got your copy of the Beyond Limits in your hands, what were you really expecting when you heard about the book, and how did that change once you started reading the book?
Okay, I'll be very honest. When I got it, I was like, I had read a few books about career management and career guidance, but what really stood out to me was like it was written by someone I know as a pastor, and obviously the first part was Jeremiah 29 verse 11, and just knowing that you had that experience and you had gone through the process on having a lot of trials and tribulations triggered my curiosity, and that was my first impression when I got the book.
Wow. So the fact that there was a scriptural base, that it was
Mm,
really well founded on practical experiences.
yeah.
Yeah, wonderful. I'm really grateful for hearing that feedback. And maybe just as a bit of follow up, did you find that it helped it helped to make the book a little bit more relatable for you with that knowledge in the back of your mind?
Oh yeah, personally, yes, I did find it very like rich, and it helped me a lot knowing that it was written from like someone who has gone through the experience, and someone who has the experience was not, it's not just talking from what they think, but obviously talking from what they have experienced and what they have researched really made me also curious to want to know more about it, and obviously see what uh, you think, what you thought, and what your thought process was like at that phase.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Now, I know that you also did a review of the book,
Oh
and I
yeah.
was really captivated by your summary. It was so rich and deep, and you really captured the essence of the book really, really well in your review. What are one or two things that really surprised you the most about the content itself?
Okay, the content itself, I think I wouldn't say surprised, but I would say more like that resonated a lot with me at
Yeah,
that point,
yeah.
which was like what sometimes distracts your career progression, which is maybe a sudden job loss. So I guess that also made me want to read more and look more into what was the thought about that and how to like kind of use that stage, which I did a lot more because I had at the beginning of 2025, I just had a sudden job loss. So I was also
Mm.
looking at expanding my knowledge, which then when I read it into in your book, it made more sense because I made it then sat well with me that obviously this is coming from someone with experience, and obviously from his scriptural perspective, that it's also a time to start looking at what you want to do next. And yeah, that is what
Wow,
resonated with me a lot more.
wow. I'm loving how you are sharing about how the book really resonated with you. And I'd love to hear a little bit more because you are also now giving a personal perspective that there was something in that book that really applied to you personally. which
Yeah.
I didn't know. I didn't know that before.
Mm,
So speaking about, a sudden job loss and some of the factors that I described, I also talk about some of the invisible barriers, some
yes.
of the, the ceiling, the glass ceiling and so on that people experience. Did you
Mm-hmm.
find yourself, as you were reading some of these, you were like nodding and identifying some stuff that you may relate to you personally as you went through?
Yes, there's a lot of things that I can relate to personally, and also the things that I've seen in while I'm working with other people. So one of the major invisible barrier that I would look at was the perfectionism, how people tend to be like so caged into being perfect without like really looking at the extra like the extended other factors that you can also and that would also be like merging together with things like imposter syndrome and self-doubt, and then obviously like having a huge barrier at the end of the day of like that will stop you from unleashing your dream career.
Wow. I'm really getting fired up because, as you know, Nunu, I wrote a lot. The great majority of what's in this book is based on my personal experience as a professional of nearly 30 years of professional experience. In
Yeah.
fact, 2026 will mark 30 years since I went into the field. And a lot of my experiences have tailored and honed the knowledge of what I've shared in this book. So it's really great to hear how the material has impacted you and how you see this as being really realistic and it resonates with you.
Yeah.
Now, as you were reading, I know there were a few things that really stood out for you, maybe some areas that you underlined, or maybe a few quotes. I
Mm-hmm.
hope there were a few. Were there any of those that just really hit home, that really came close to home, or it was a revelation, whether it was personally for you or something that you were like, oh, so that thing.
uh Not, I don't remember the quote to say, but I do remember a lot of things that actually stood out to me. So the first one was obviously the success stories that I've seen. I noticed that you've mentioned Oprah, Malala, and all those are stories that I have actually watched their movies. So just reading that book actually and aligning it with the other content of the book and knowing that these examples can be merged into this book and obviously give a clear example of other people that were also going through the same like barriers and they still came out to be top when motivational people like was actually
Yeah.
so good for me because I think I like it also motivated me because it's a line of in the career path that I really wanted to take to be like motivational and stuff like that, but also reading and having that reminder that there's also these other women that have gone through this and still came out despite the trials and stipulations.
Wow. Thank you so much. Now, I remember that in your review, you also mentioned, there was a part of the book that I wrote about the myths and the,
Yes.
breast busting the myths. I
Mm-hmm.
noticed in your review you mentioned that part. Do you want to mention anything about that?
Oh, yes, I can just think about the myths that people at the beginning of their careers or when they trying to change careers or whatever, they do look at it as a whole thing, a whole set thing, and which
Mhm.
goes back to like what I was mentioning before, perfectionism. And they just
Yeah.
look at that and they think you have to have everything set from the word go without like revisiting and realigning and readjusting certain things. So that myth actually resonated a lot with me and obviously the people that I've worked with. And just, I think it helped me to have an idea of how to, obviously, when working with people, reference to that, like, it gave me some kind of a map to be like, okay, look at this person. She wrote this. Why don't you try it? So yeah, like try the myth bursting and see that you would actually go further in your career rather than just being in a fog.
Wow, that's amazing. So do you think you're gonna be using my book to help in some of your work or something like that? Is that what I'm hearing?
Oh, I've actually done so, and I've actually had a lot of questions that I might have for you, but maybe in the next section, yeah.
That's so good. And as you know, I'm always happy to come in and run a workshop or, make this simple for people because that's what I do really, really best.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of the book, as
Mm-hmm.
you can see, as you've said before, the book is really a roadmap and a blueprint.
Yeah.
And, I have summarized the 7-step action plan, which is the core. It's actually the entire core of the book is around
Yes.
that 7-step action plan.
Mm.
So, was there any step that you think professionals may find really challenging to go through today and why?
Uh, Professionals really struggle. I guess most people just when they're looking at the career and building like unleashing a dream career, they look at research, obviously not knowing what like most people would look at the finances or like the pay slip or what amount is are they offered to be paid for, and also
Mhm.
like do the other 6 steps. But I feel like, or it's just me maybe, but I feel like the self-assessment part is very minimal when people are looking at that, because I've seen people at the end, like at the not end, or maybe uh years into their career getting burnt out, and obviously like maybe leaving, which is a good thing to a certain extent, but also like if they had done the self-assessment like it says in the initial pages of your book, that
Mhm.
my career is like, why am I doing what I am doing? So if they skip that, I feel like it's a
Mhm.
very important step, because if you know why am I doing what I'm doing, it goes back to the uh, purpose, which is why you
Mhm.
should be what you should be doing. So, but if you skip it, you then most likely have problems in the future, or like just confusion, not knowing what you are doing, who you are, and why you're doing what you're doing, because that's how there would be a difference between a job and a career, unleashing a dream career.
Wow. Thank you. This is really insightful. And I'm really so grateful to hear this feedback because these are some of the things. This is exactly the motivation I had when I was, structuring the book the way I have structured it. And
Mm,
and as I think we've established upfront, like this book was about me really trying to package my own journey,
yeah,
all the learnings I've had over time, not just as an individual, but as a mentor, as a coach, coaching hundreds of people from all over the world and seeing that a lot of the issues we go through are quite similar, you
mm,
know? And
yeah,
so if there's a blueprint that people can follow, you know what I mean?
yes,
Yeah, if there's a blueprint that people can follow, and I'm really grateful that God has really blessed me professionally, academically, I've been able to have a really successful career.
mm,
So I realized that there is a formula for success and there's a formula for failure. So I'm grateful to hear that, what I've put there really is resonating and that it's making sense. Now, one of the things that I've included in the book is about future proofing your career and turning your credentials into
yeah,
currency, and a little bit of backstory behind that.
yeah,
I kind of dabble at the age of professional slash entrepreneurship,
mm-hmm,
right?
mm,
Because a lot of my audience are the mid career professionals and those who are a little bit later. So I'm very conscious of people like myself who want to translate their knowledge, their skills and experiences into something profitable.
yeah,
So, but when I wrote the book, I was really debating whether or not to to put something like that inside, or how deep to go. And it was my great friend Kelly Markey who actually suggested a bridging chapter
Mm.
to bridge that entrepreneurship part with the other part of it, particularly targeting people in the developing world where it's not so straightforward for them, the
Yes.
challenges. And so that extra chapter was put in as a bridge to really helping people understand the context and let people know that you don't have to sit there and suffer in vain in your workplace. You can
Mm.
actually create a future for yourself and you can
Yeah.
leverage your skills and so on, right? Do
Yeah.
you know, how do you look at this in terms of a professional value?
I feel like it's a very good profession. It adds a very good professional value because like you're saying, there's always self-assessment, there's always like revisiting your goals and stuff like that. And most people find themselves not able to be stuck in the 9 to 5 and that entrepreneurship, like as the industry is rising, you can see that there are a lot of people that are diving into that section. So I do feel like it actually does help a lot of people because a lot of people, including myself, sometimes do have this thing. I don't know, maybe imposter syndrome where we'll be like, oh my God, do I think I can do it? Am I best enough? So having that book or having that chapter to continuously remind you that it is normal to go through all those processes, all those thought processes, and how also to navigate the barriers around, the challenges around, obviously, like being an immigrant, knowing there's a lot more to look at in that sense, or a lot more to cover before you can start doing a lot of things, which is the visa processes and stuff like that. Just knowing all those barriers, I think it's also a very good chapter to motivate other people that like they are different obstacles and you can still come through.
Wow. Thank you so much for that. Wow. I'm really enjoying this conversation.
Yeah.
It's great to hear how the book is being seen from a professional perspective and hearing how the book is really translatable, to individuals. So, for those who are just coming in, we're talking about Beyond Limits, manifesting and unleashing your dream career. And,
Mm,
I am really passionate about the purpose-driven career progression. It's not just about, hey, write a book. There are so many things that came before this book. So,
yeah.
from your reading, how would you describe the difference between just having a job and unleashing that dream career? But that's really the ultimate goal of this
Yeah.
book, is to really support people with that.
Yes, I feel like this is my own explanation or my own definition, but this is what I kind of summarized or understood. So, having a job is more a survival mode. You're just
Mhm.
looking for something that pays the bills and that keeps you busy sometimes, or just not being sure. So, for example, I'll give an example. When I was still in uni, I had a job, and it's something that
Yes.
I wouldn't see myself as a career or unleashing my career, but it was something to pay my uni fees. It was something to pay my bills, something to make sure I had food. But at the end of it, you can't look at it as a long term thing because at the end of it, you're not doing something that you actually purposeful or that you actually aligned. Whereas unleashing your dream career is focusing on purpose, alignment,
Mhm.
and step by step goal of something that will fulfill you, and obviously as Christian woman, something that will fulfill the purpose that God has for you.
Wow, wow. That's beautiful. I couldn't have said it better myself. Now, having gone through the book,
Mm.
if you were to pick one chapter that you think every young graduate or every professional who's feeling stuck must read, 'cause I know some people, a lot of us, we don't like reading and we will buy the book and it will be sitting there on the shelf for a long time. If you
Looking
were going
very
to
new.
encourage, Yes, yes. You're gonna encourage someone to say, look, if you can't read all of the book, I suggest you start here as an inspiration. Is there a chapter that you would suggest they start with?
That's quite difficult because I feel like it
Yeah.
all depends on where people are at. But my most chapter that I would look at is, you know, how many people don't like reading, like you're saying. So it's starting with the action plan phase. So
Mhm.
it will tell you a lot more like of the phases, like what you need to
Mhm.
do. And
Yeah.
then once you know the action plan, and then it will motivate you to go and see like, okay, how did this person go through this? Because once you have the action plan in front of
Mhm.
you and everything open, you can now just be curious about one stage at a time of what you're doing with your action plan.
Wow. Wow. I love that. I love that. And I do agree that it depends on what stage you are at in your professional journey. You
Yeah,
know, somebody came to me for advice recently, and while we were just sitting there, just trying to understand what their issues were, where they were at, all of a sudden I just pictured them going through the book.
yeah,
And while I would recommend people start at the beginning, for me it was like, oh, this part of the book would be so perfect for this individual,
yeah.
and some people, we have to, call the reality what it is, right?
Mm,
Wow. So if you could summarize the vibe of the book, how, in maybe 3 to 4 words, for
yeah.
somebody who is sitting on the fence about getting the book, how would you, in a tidbit,
Like in a few words or like a sentence or like exactly which one?
pick whatever, if you want to go for a few words or just a sentence.
Okay, I'll start with 3 words because I had noted down both three words,
Yeah.
and like just when I was like reviewing the book, so I
Hmm.
knew like what I was mapping myself into. So the I think, like I said in my review, is it's insightful, it's motivational, and it's educational.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
And if I was to like write a summary in a few words or in less than 20 words, like we were taught to do in uni, I would say like it's a book that will help you to navigate rapidly changing job landscape and turn confusion into clarity by uncovering your strengths and defining your meaningful goals, and a map that feels like authentic to avoid common pitfalls.
Wow. I absolutely love that. Absolutely love that. Thank you so much. And I really appreciate the way you have shared so much from the heart, so really authentic from the word. But I just remember something, for those who purchased the book in Australia in particular during the launch, I
Mm,
did offer the Beyond Limits interactive workbook series. Now, I'm not sure you've had a chance to look at that.
yeah, I, I
Yeah.
I don't think I have had a chance yet. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, all right. Because for those who purchased the book directly from me, I've popped in a little QR code in the cover of the book, and I
Mm-hmm.
offer them the opportunity to receive the interactive workbook series, which is
Yeah.
basically taking all the tables and the activities from the book.
Mm,
At the end of the book, there's a couple of activities that are there. So people can actually apply what they've learned from the book. I have gone ahead and created a workbook series, like an entire course that's
yeah.
based off all of those. And it's actually 11 workbooks that is aligned with nearly with every chapter in the book. So they can go at their own pace and work it through. So I'm really, really encouraging my listeners that if you get the book, and I'm actually offering those who even purchase it from Amazon or anywhere else, if you take a screenshot of your proof of purchase and email me, which my email address is in the back of the book somewhere, I will send that workbook to them, because I really felt like for a lot of our younger generation, our early career professionals who prefer to use digital products, they might actually find this really, really appropriate. What do you think about that idea?
I think that's a very good idea because most of the this generation they really more into digital, and that will give them the motivation to look at it. Not like some of the people do like workshops and stuff, but the young people don't. So I guess it will also broaden the community of the book, and yeah.
Mhm. Wonderful, wonderful. Ah, no, no, it's been so good chatting to you about the book, and I'm really excited to see, you know, how much impact the book has already had in the couple weeks that we've launched it. And as you know, it's one thing to write the words, but hearing how they have landed with you makes a
Yeah.
big world of difference. And I'm so grateful that the book is really doing what it was intended to do. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Is there like one last thing you want to say to our viewers about, the book or just how to apply this book?
I think just a practical example for me, I was like, it's perfectionism because I'm always like things have to be perfect, perfect, perfect. But from when I read the book, sometimes obviously things have to be good, but sometimes I'm putting aside that perfectionism, that negative perfectionism, to
Mhm.
then go with the aligned goals. So if you can try just one step of the book, whichever that suits the step that you are in, you won't regret it. And I think it's a really, really good book, and I highly recommend everyone to buy it.
Wow. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Today we had a chat with our social media influencer, a woman of great wisdom. I always enjoy just listening to her little nuggets. Some days I'm not at my best and I just get into one of her videos and it just gives me a pick up. And I'm really grateful that someone who is such a thoughtful reader, uh, has been able to tap into this space. And I really, really appreciate sincerely, Nunu, your time today to come and share some feedback with me on this book. Well, that's all we have time for today, ladies and gentlemen. But I will be back with you very soon with another episode. I will be doing my best to get a few more people to provide feedback on their own experiences with the book. But I will also be coming to you with some great nuggets and insights from the principles that I've taught in the book that's going to help you get ahead in 2026. Last thing for me is if you missed my Prepare for Impact goal setting workshop on the 29th of December, reach out and let me know. I'm really, really inspired that you start your year with intention. So I'm happy to share the recording with you guys. Let me know and I will send that to you. So thank you once again for having me. I am your friend, your coach, your career strategist, and Pastor Stephanie Fletcher-Lartey. Until next time, take care and all the best. Bye bye for now.